Hey, I'm not really sure what happened in my last video, but I'm gonna make sure I give them a plug right now. So I've been collecting stickers. Some of them are kind of generic, others are from vendors. But some of the ones that I've been collecting lately are around fellow Instagram posters, people who have the same interests as I do. And one in particular that I want to talk about is from a Instagram handle named Fried Eggs. And he's dedicated his Instagram to reviving the 996 passion and love for this model, and it's really working. He's got over 10,000 followers, so be sure to check him out. But this is the sticker that I have, 996 Revival or 996 Revitalist. But a big shout out to Fried Eggs. Great design here. You can clearly see the egg and the 9. If you get 3 of them, it's 99, and you flip it in 996. So it's really awesome. I don't normally promote vendors. I usually, unless they're paying me, I'll promote a fellow enthusiast, and I'll stick a sticker on my car, which I have never done. So check it out. You may have seen it in my other video, just briefly. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep that bad boy right there along with everything else. So no peeking in there. You gotta watch my future videos to see what's going on with Project Pepper. So, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. I'm not sure where I'm gonna plug this video, but I wanna make sure I give a big shout out to that guy. Thanks, man. Appreciate the sticker. Keep up the good work.
It's hard to believe that it's been 3 months since I purchased this car in that awesome eBay last minute buzzer beater. But here we are 3 months later, and I'm still peeling back the onion on this car. I'd never owned a Porsche before in my life. It was a really good price. I knew that the prices in the used car market were becoming a bit obscene, so I needed to jump on this opportunity as soon as possible. Once it arrived, I knew I was going to have my hands full, from rust to electrical problems to possible bore scoring. The opportunity for DIY projects was endless. That's not to say I didn't have pest control problems, issues with registration, and just an overall sense of buyer's remorse. I had never tackled anything quite like this, but I was up to the challenge. So here we are, present day, and this is where we stand.
Hey, welcome to Yogi's Garage. I want to remove the steering wheel for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the steering wheel lock is broken on this car. You can take a look here. Yeah, I'm not sure what that clicking sound is. I'll have to look that up, but other than it being, you know, steering, it feels really loose. Anyway, so steering wheel lock is broken. The big one is, though, my windshield wipers don't work. And without windshield wipers, the car won't pass inspection. And I don't have a rear view mirror either, because as you can tell, it is broken off. Don't know how, don't want to know. I just want to get it resolved so I can get this car inspected so I can pay my taxes. The state government is cutting us some slack as far as getting our cars registered, especially from out of state because of the pandemic, but that's going to come to an end eventually. I can't drive this car legally in Texas without getting this car registered. I can't register it until I get the car inspected. So I got a couple of things I want to tackle to get that resolved before I drop the engine. I really, really want to drop the engine, but I really want to pay my taxes and get this car registered so I can get the plates on this car. So once the engine is done, then I can drive it around legally. So I'm kind of in a conundrum here. What do I do first? I think I've got a plan. So let's take the steering wheel off. Let's take a look at what we're dealing with the ignition lock, as well as the steering wheel windshield wiper stock. It could just be a micro switch, or it could be something else. I'm hoping it's just a stock replacement, and I can take care of that with a few parts. So let's take a look. Got that one off. We'll see. All right, and we'll disconnect. Oh, yeah. Jesus. Yeah, you know, I'm not even entirely convinced that this airbag is working. You can take a look at how this thing was jerry-rigged together. I guess the connector panel broke off, and you know, they connected it that way. So this is probably a non-functioning airbag. Take a flathead screwdriver and pop it straight off. So as you can see, the airbag, I think, is fine. The problem is this connector is trash. Whatever they did to it to make it work, wrap it in electrical tape, no, that's not going to work. And that's probably what's throwing the error message in the car. But airbag's out. Now I can bust that 22 millimeter nut out and then get the steering wheel off so I can get access to the stalks here and see what's going on with the windshield wiper. All right, I've disconnected the horn already, so that's all done. Next up is to pop this 24 millimeter nut off. It looks like I need an extension. See if this will come off. That was a little too quick. Okay. And there's a washer, what I need to keep together. Washer seems a little bent. A little 3-point mark just to make sure. All right. But we'll know the top is where the red paint is too. It's like somebody already had marked it previously. Okay, and then now the steering wheel should just come off. There. See how this whole little wiring harness is so brittle. In fact, you can see some char marks in the insulation. So this thing shorted, or perhaps it shorted when it fired off the first time the airbag went off. So yeah, I mean, look at this. This whole thing is just loose. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. But I'm gonna have to fix this connector or replace the whole thing, clearly, because that's all messed up. I'll have to find the part number on that. I'm gonna remove the front housing on this here to get access. A couple more screws here and here, and then this shroud should clamshell. Interesting. Okay. Look at that. Again, Porsche ingenuity. Simple rubber grommet holds this two together, get the shroud right off. All right, so what we're looking at here is I removed the clock spring mechanism here. And as soon as I did that, the explanation as to why it was so wobbly became readily apparent. Yeah, so I believe that the clock, this helps the turn signal self-cancel. So when the wheel turns back to the 12 o'clock position, it should auto-cancel, but it's not doing that. So the clock spring appears to be the problem with that. I don't think it's the problem with the windshield wiper. That is a separate wiring harness back here, so I'm still peeling away the onion.
Oh boy, I usually only get this excited when they say the title of a movie in the movie.
I'm telling you, these drug dealers represent a clear and present danger to the United States.
He said it! He said it!
But yeah, the clock spring is gonna need replacement.
All right, I've got the majority of the interior steering components out of Pepper. Luckily, a lot of this stuff I can reuse. Unfortunately, the expensive stuff I cannot. Clearly, the steering wheel, there's no way I'm gonna allow that to go back into the car. So this steering wheel will never see the inside of Pepper. I originally got this endoscope so that I can scope out cylinder bores, but I've used it for other uses so far, and it's been fantastic. This is a Teslong model. I had a cheap one that used spyware type of free software in the Google App Store. They did not have an Apple version. So anyway, it works really well. It has a top LED camera. There we go. And then I can switch the camera so you can see, I don't know how well that's coming out, but you can see that this is the front facing camera.
and then I hit a little button here, and then all of a sudden I'm using a side-facing camera. And not only that, is it has an LED light on it as well. So it's really good if you are scoping out bores in a cylinder. You go into the bore and then you can see the cylinder walls without having to finagle with trying to turn your camera at a 90-degree angle. It's much easier doing it this way. So I'm going to use this camera to get between the seat and the center console so that I can see what I can see. Here we go. Okay. So here is actuator that is supposed to unlock the rail. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like 2 of the 4 are going up, but I'm not entirely sure if they're unlocking. All right. Yeah, so like I said, a pretty handy tool to get into really tight spaces to see if actuators are moving, if there's a cut wire, or if you're boring, or if you're looking at a cylinder for bore scoring, for example. So very, very useful tool. So the seat rails that the seats sit on is completely fused up. So before I go and do something extreme like cutting it out of the car, I'm gonna try to hit it with some rust remover, let it soak, and see if I can dissolve enough of the rust to get the 2 pieces to slide so that I can get to the bolts. Because otherwise I gotta cut the seats out because the bolts are covered up by the top portion of the rail. So I went ahead and looked at evapor rust. And so what I wanna do is I'm gonna get some really nice shop towels and soak them in this evapor rust stuff. And then I'm gonna lay them directly on the rails of the car to see if in a day or 2 that the rust is dissolved enough to where I can get these seats to move. That would be super awesome. So let's give it a go. All right, so the instructions say to soak these towels. I'm gonna put some gloves on because there's no telling what this stuff is made of. So I've got some nitrile. It says it's biodegradable, non-toxic. So that's good. I'll let you know what I think of it after I get the car soaking with this stuff in there. So I've got several places that I need to work on, so I'm gonna have to soak quite a bit of towels to accomplish what I'm hoping will happen, is that the rust will melt away and I won't have to cut it away. Just gonna... a little bit of that, nice and pea yellow. So I've got 4 rails that I need to deal with. I don't know the exact length. I'll probably need 3 on each side. So I'll need 12 total. Let's go ahead and start with the passenger side because that's the real bad side. So I'm gonna move you over there. So let me show you what I'm dealing with here. This is the top, with these 2 bolts you see there, that is the top rail for the sliding mechanism of the seat. And that is fused to the bottom rail here you see. So I'm gonna put this soaking stuff right over the top, heck, right around it even, all the way on each side, times 2 seats, and hope, and maybe a little bit of praying that this works. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is gonna do much. Optimistic that it'll get it enough to where I can nudge this thing forward, but it is frozen solid. Had a hard time getting to the ones on the other side, so they may not move as much, but if I have to, I'll get in there and get more serious about it. But I'm gonna do the driver's side, and then I'm gonna come back with a turkey baster and just drip some more of the rust chemical on the paper towel so they can continue to soak. And then I'm gonna let this go for, it says up to 12 hours. I'm gonna do longer. All right, the rust remover product that I used, Evapor Rust, did a really good job. As you can see, both seats over there and here are both fully pushed forward, meaning that I was successful sliding the rails up, so I do not need to cut it. This rail over here, the one closest to the center, is completely rusted out. You can see that it popped right off of the floorboard, so I have rust to deal with there. But this bolt here is still attached, so I'm gonna hit it with a wire brush. I've already hit it with some PB Blaster. And these are inverted Torx. It's not an E9, so let's try E12. Yeah, that's it. E12 is the trick. Right there. That is not working. I'm gonna try rocket socket. Yeah, this one. Whew. Ooh, that hurt. That bolt is fused on there. Okay, now I'm gonna tackle that rusty bolt right there. I've tried to use my rocket socket. It's basically the lower flange part of the bolt is fused to the metal. My best thing to do here is to try to use a wire wheel to get the metal or get the rust off, and then use a cutoff wheel to just sever that bolt head right off so I can get this rail off and get this seat out of here, and then take a look at the damage on the rust. But let me go ahead and get a closer shot of the rust there so that you can see what I'm dealing with. And if see? I mean, the whole top layer of the floorboard is shot right there. And I'm really scared to see what it looks like underneath, but I got to conquer my fears, man, starting with this bolt. So let's get this bolt taken out and then we'll move on. I'm coming in at it at this angle right here like that and just cutting that top off there. So this Dremel tool that I'm using, I got it as a Christmas gift in 1996, and it's still working. It could be because I hardly use it. So I'm just about through. I'm gonna try to get it back in here without running into anything. Oof. This thing is not going down without a fight. All right, I think I got a spot right here. Okay, now, yeah, that's really hot. See, it's blue too. Okay, well, let's see if I can pop this thing up now. I'm gonna try to drill out the rest of it. I'm not entirely centered on it. Unfortunately, I couldn't because of the way I scalped the top of the bolt. So I'm gonna come at it at an angle, and all I'm trying to do is break it free from the rail, and then whatever's left of the bolt I can deal with later. So we'll see. Yeah, it's looking good. Maybe not good enough. Every now and then I come in here and just give it a little pry, see if I got lucky. I'm gonna get my cutter and I'm gonna cut this carpet away and see what it looks like. Damn. Yeah, it's bad. See, I shouldn't even have to worry about it. It's so bad. This whole panel is probably gonna need to be taken out. Yeah, look at that. I'm hoping that comes out on the, yeah. Gosh, looks bad, bad, bad. So it doesn't really matter what kind of damage I do to the bottom floorboard because it's coming out anyway. Try my pry bar again right here. The whole thing is just collapsing under pressure. Okay. Seat's out. But the damage is done. Wait till you see. Alright, here we go. Seat's out. And you can see that is part of the floorboard. This is just really sad, you know, that someone would let a car like this just go to waste. But it is what it is. I gotta pull the carpet up and see how bad the damage really is. You see this look? This is not the face of a happy man. I have a major decision to make on whether or not I'm going to move forward with Project Pepper, and here's why. Take a look at what I'm dealing with. Let me start you right here. And these are the chairs out of Pepper. And this is part of the Porsche that ripped off when the car rotted, when the car rusted, when the previous owner decided not to care for his car anymore. It became this nightmare and has changed how I feel about moving forward. Okay, this is much better lighting. Apologize about the flicker. Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. This is the driver's side. As you can see, I've got the steering wheel. Found some mechanical problems with the steering. The clock spring was broken. The airbag was not connected. That's why I was getting an airbag warning. I mean, it was connected, but you'll see in the B-roll footage that it was not very well connected. But this is the driver's side, and this is only really the minor side of the carnage. And I think once I pull this carpet up, I'll be pleasantly surprised at how little damage is done on this side. But that can't be said about the passenger side. So this is the passenger side, and I spent a good bit of time yesterday, one, getting the chair out, because I had to scalp the bolt and pull it out. But the results, or what I found underneath the car, is something out of my worst nightmare. This car has obviously been sitting in water, and again, it is not a flood car, but rather a careless owner car who didn't unplug the drains that sit below the convertible top rams for many, from what I can tell, for many years, because the water in here had been sitting in here. And this kind of damage takes years to do. This is not salt water, folks. This is regular water. So that means it takes a very, very long time for the metal to react like this. It was still, the carpet that I pulled out of here was still wet after 2 months of owning, almost 2 months of owning this car. And Pepper's been in the garage the majority of the time, or covered with a car cover, and the humidity level in my garage is climate controlled. So, I mean, it's the best condition that a car can be in order to keep this from happening. This is bad here. This goes actually through the main floorboard, and I'm gonna climb under there here in a minute and take the center panel down so I can see just how bad it is. This side here is just as bad. It's really spongy here, and there's a nice little dent on the underside that I will show later. And you can see that this is the mounting point for the seat on the back. It's just bad. And then you can see in here that all the paint's come off. So I'm not a welder. I don't pretend to be. I don't know whether or not the value of the car justifies even repairing this. So I've got a lot of decisions to make. All right. I know you're probably looking at my shirt saying, do what? Yeah, we had a crawfish boil at my house. If you're from the South, from the southern states, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to crawfish boils. Memorial Day weekend, It was great. So anyway, Pepper, I'm like I'm flip-flopping here, right? I'm thinking, you know, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. I'm not a welder. I don't know. Can you fabricate panels to replace that? It doesn't need to be OEM, right? This car will never be a Concours. The moment it got rust in it, those days are over. But what I want is a collectible car that I'll enjoy owning for many years, or if I sell it, the next owner will appreciate the work that I've done to keep this car in tip-top shape. However, if it doesn't make financial sense to do anything with this car, then you've got to cut your losses. And that's where I am at right now. Do I cut my losses? Because basically, for $15,000, I bought an engine and got the body for free. So if I freshened up the motor on this, I could probably get what I originally paid for the entire car, $15,000. It's only got $101,000. You've seen the work that I've done in the past on my Audi. This car would get the same type of treatment. I would use the best quality parts to really refresh this motor from the belly up. But again, is it worth it, right? And that's where I'm at. So I'm going to take what I've learned in the last few days, do some research, make some calls, talk to some experts in the field, and see where I go from here, right? I'm not going to stop on the engine. I'm not going to stop working on it because one way or another, I'm going to refresh that engine. But whether or not I refresh the interior, I'm not sure. Maybe I can take the 3.6 liter engine out of here that doesn't have bore scoring and transplant it into a coupe or another cabriolet, maybe. So those are some of the choices. I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I'm halfway there thinking, time to bail. Don't know. We'll see. I haven't put a whole lot of money into it. I probably put, not counting fluids and filters and things like that, about $350 into this car. Sorry to end the video at this point, but I'm sure you can appreciate how I feel. There's a lot of decision makings. I got to talk to my wife and see whether or not I can resuscitate this car like I did Olaf, and whether or not it's worth it. So, with that said, if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the thumbs down button. If you didn't, let me know why in the comments. For my loyal subscribers, thank you. I promise I'm going to be putting out more content more consistently. It was the end of season 1, and I really needed to take a breather. Thanks for watching Yogi's Garage. We'll see you next time.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make the microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the French in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I